Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you here to the final round of the first day of Windmill 2019, the 15-year anniversary. Cirque du Freak chic, and we're looking to get freaky with myself, Lorca Murray, and the inimitable quiz master.
Sean Colfer, I am here. I have not quizzed today, but there is a quiz I'm going to do later,
So always looking to ask questions, and right now the Czech Republic looking to ask questions of a France Open side that I don't think would be too happy with their performances so far today.
No, they're lower down the draw than they certainly would like to be. They played against GB Open, one of the teams that they're going to be looking to topple when we get to Euros, and they didn't perform as well as they certainly would have wanted to going into their game, losing 15-5. So opportunity for them to try and climb back up in the seedings against a good Czech team.
So Rico centers it into the middle, waiting there for it, Fred. And they keep swinging it around quickly by France. Trying to find space, trying to find options. That's Guyen. Pops it into the middle, waiting their pony. And dropping it back. France still just passing it around, not really gaining any yards, getting a lot of touches throughout their squad, but still looking for any real gains. Benjamin Fenwick. Now, Fenwick looking for options. One appears in the form of Martin Tardy. Tardy has a shot to the end zone, takes it almost immediately. Several players underneath it with the one with the critical touch. Wojciech Pruszak.
Yeah, good block from the Czechs there. The French working it reasonably patiently, but getting a little bit impatient right at the end at the critical moment with that reasonably speculative shot into the end zone. It's kind of rolling away the whole time.
And it allowed Pruszak to get on the end of it and just tip it away. So now Czech looking to make themselves down the pitch. We'll see what they can do. One of those developing countries still in the European scene, battling out in the middle ground. A win over France would be quite significant to them. Operating well against the mid-range teams of Europe would be a success for Czech and a disappointment for France as they swing it around. The red and blue launching it deep and screaming underneath it. That is a fantastic run. Novak waiting, taking his time until the form of Szymon Kadlec arrives.
Great hook there from the Czech Republic. Really, really well timed, right into the stride of the receiver. Didn't have to slow down at all to reel it in. Good support from his teammates. Left him with a really easy option for a score, and great first point. Good start for the Czechs.
Something they'll be very happy with so far. Novak collecting it on the other end of what was a very large hook. We see it again. Massive, coming out of the hands of Peter Hering. There's Novak. Has a man isolated in the end zone. Takes his time. And patiently waits for Kadlec to arrive for the easy score.
I think the French need a bit more sideline. They definitely had a person that was available to pick up the eventual scorer, but he did not know that there was someone coming in behind him.
And the sideline's such a critical aspect of having a good, successful time as a national side.
We watched the Great Britain versus Ireland game. I'm sure many of you did on stream earlier. Sideline from both teams in that game. Two very, very good teams. Two of the best teams here. Deafening at times. So you really need to add value from the side of the pitch to your teammates if you're to be successful.
You might actually see Ireland taking on Austria. Two national teams just in the background of this game. So a couple of national sides before the European Championships. Battling it out as here come France. They have the option deep. They decide against it. Looking for one under, but nothing really arrives. Gwen eventually gets it into the middle to Simon. It's going to have to go back to Gwen. Tessier. So the ideal start for the Czechs, but not satisfied. Not by a long shot. Tessier gets it back by Vogel. Waiting for something. Surprised it wasn't a flick huck, if I'm honest with you. Scala then opts for the huck himself. It's a big one. Lots of combat down there. Always a difficult thing to come down with. Tessier gets D'd.
Yeah, the Czech players come over there and done a really good job making up ground, and a really difficult thing to do, to challenge things like that in the air and not foul your opponent. He's done an excellent job of staying safe, staying spirited, and getting a good clean block.
Unfortunately, a drop from Peter Pospichal. So, Czech give the disc right back. That's going a little bit easy on France. Not what they were hoping to do. France get another look at the hold. Scala puts one all the way over the top. And that's a nice throw to space for France. 1-1.
1-1. Good hold, although looks like there's a pick call. Are we coming back? I was about to say, I don't know what happened with the Czech defense there, because Kortal was in acres of space. There was no one anywhere near him, so the pick explains that.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is have a drop and then be the man beaten to space. Pospichal looking to earn back that mistake for his team. And Vogel makes a move down the line. Plenty of float on that disc, but you can afford to do it with a big man like that as your receiver.
Long time stalwart of the European scene. He's been a great player for many years, and that is a very, very difficult catch under some intense pressure from the Czech defender.
Takes it down. A lot of the times that would be considered a bad up-the-line pass, but that's a perfect one when you're dealing with Nasser.
I know you like a spicy option, Lorcan. There was a reasonable amount of spice on that one, I think.
There was a palatable amount of spice. It's something that'll, you know, get me salivating a little bit, but I wouldn't mind it if things could heat up.
You'll be fine the next morning after that one, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there wouldn't be too much of a war wound. I want to have some flavor, and I also want to have some pain. So I want big shots, successful or not. So 1-1, but Czech managed to put themselves in the driver's seat, and now we see their O-line for the first time. It'll be interesting to see what these men can bring to the table.
It will. I mean, if it's anything like their kit, I'm a massive fan. They're going to be very smart, very clean. Going to put it in easily. It's my call.
Hopefully. I do like the strong, bold blue and red combined together. Two colors France themselves were generally in favor of wearing, as they just let that one go out. So Dostal will be the man to take it in. Czech have had some success internationally on the mixed stage when they pooled all their resources together into one big strong team. Now trying to expand their repertoire into the open and women's divisions. Let's see what they're capable of. Dostal looks for options, gets a horizontal cut immediately. Doesn't like it, so decides against it. Bit of dumping, bit of swinging. And then overthrowing the target. So France with a chance for a break and to retake the power position in this game. A big bid, but coming up empty. So now we see Roger sends it across the pitch. Bredau back into the middle. Cantonet, and they're just swinging it around nice and easy. Roger thinks about lashing it, decides against it, thinks about lashing it again, but there is a pick call. Taken in acrobatically by Lemel.
Got to make sure on those pick calls, if you don't catch it, then that is a turnover. And he's made sure he's secured it. No discussion about a turnover there. Looked quite sore though. That clap catch landing on your side.
I mean, you're putting your body on the line there to retain possession.
Yeah.
You don't even get the stat. So Roger, affectionately known as Mini G. And it's a beautiful throw. Cantonet down the line and well taken in. Vidal, and this is smooth play from France, although it's going to go back. It's maybe a bit too smooth.
Not sure what the call is here. Is it a travel or something like that? But it's really, really nice offense from France down that open sideline.
So a couple of calls so far, but nothing serious. Kind of feeling each other out. Vidal goes back in the middle of Roger. Smooth break around. Lemel. That's a difficult break that Cantonet gives him as an offer. Instead, he goes with the hammer. 2 receivers, and in the end, it is Manuel de San Mateo who gets the score.
Nice throw. Tough throw. As you say, the option upfield he was given was almost impossible given the angle he had on that flick. Takes the hammer, and when you've got 2 receivers, both in space, it makes it a bit easier to pull those things in. But a nice point from France, and they are back on serve. 2 points in a row, and looking pretty good. The Czech O-line there struggling to keep the disc looking.
So you wonder, was that first score from Czech a statement of intent or a flash in the pan?
That is the question. They've also struggled a little so far. Lost to a couple of fellow national teams. Austria, a good side they've lost to. I think they lost to Italy as well. Looking to come back against France.
It was the opening they were looking for, but not the resolution.
You
Early days yet, though.
You might know a bit more than me about Roger. Is that a brother of the...
Quentin Roger?
Yeah, the other Roger. Are they related, do you know?
I'm actually not sure. But a man in his own right, certainly. He's rocking the headbands from the World Club Championships last year. The event in Cincinnati, where I believe he was playing with Shaq.
Big fan. I've got one of those myself.
I have one of them.
Good bright colours.
Yeah. Rainbow Brigade out in full force, really. So now here come the Czechs, hoping to avoid riggedy wrecking themselves. They're trying to work down the pitch, but it's good stifling defense by the French. Czechs move break side appropriately. Deep shot turned down. And he tries to go for it again, but really just using up that part of the pitch. And these cuts are not coming from anywhere of real intent. This is a little bit better from the Czechs, starting to play their way into it. Dostal's going to be central to a lot of their offensive flow. They'll really need him to perform. There's a huge inside break all the way across, but well scouted and blocked by Becker.
Really speculative. He must have been high on the stall count because that is a really difficult throw for the receiver. It's coming straight over his head, and the French player's always got an advantage because he can just have a swipe at it. Czech player's got to reel that in.
Yakum is a good defender and well proven, especially at the junior level, but asking an awful lot of him.
It's 2 struggles really from the Czech O-line in a row. They're really struggling to get free upfield, and those disc handlers swinging it from side to side, but they're not getting much continuation.
So now France with a chance to go back in the opposite direction, but another pick call. Seems to be a lot of crossing of lanes downfield in this game.
Both teams struggling a little bit with structure early on. Hopefully that irons itself out.
So now France trying to work their way through. Eventually they do. They just look that little bit more confident, he says, before a shot goes lash deep, but it's absolutely picturesque. Brilliant stuff. I thought it was a bit of jawing from Sento, but no, it was grace, as we've come to expect from the Frenchman. Brilliant shot all the way across the pitch. I'm pretty sure it was Becker, man who got the D, sending the disc.
Double happiness. Really good shot. Tailing over to the break side. Doesn't give the defender much of an opportunity at all, and the offensive player, Lucas Sentu, read it all the way. Nice easy catch in the end. Just plucks it away from the defender. But that's what happens when you get people in power positions, and that's what the Czechs have been struggling to do. Gets it, man behind him, off it goes.
Perfect direction. Removed all relevance from the defenders. It is fun working out who was at the World Club Championships by the people with the rainbow bands on them, because we also see the form of Sento with a band around his arm. I always did that myself, like I was at a junior tournament when I was much younger, and I had a particular type of hat. It was the World Junior Championships in 2010.
I used to see loads and loads of people wearing those hats. They must have been the most popular bit of merchandise of that tournament, because you could tell for about 2 years afterwards who played that tournament.
Everybody got one.
Yeah, it was very popular.
It was brilliant. And I lost mine at the tournament, and then got a second one, and then found my first one, so I had two, and have subsequently lost both of them.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
I know. Well, I lose things a lot. And it's my own fault, really. Let's see if the Czechs can take responsibility for what they've lost already in this game and start to make some gains back in. Better from the open side cut. Going deep, coming back, actually putting some work in, getting some yards as a result, although a bit of contact. And that's unfortunate. Fensel, very good player.
Looks like someone stepped on their toe.
Subir trying to keep Fensel under lock. Doing a good job shutting him down there. Eventually Czech's able to get through. Nice down the line, Zubir, lots of pressure on the disc. Brilliant play by the Frenchman.
Really good. You were seeing he was locking him up, doing a really good job downfield. Tries to cut up the line. Does a good job there too. Can't get away from him.
So Fensel has fantastic throws, so Zubir seems to have resolved himself to just deny him that opportunity. And Bat Vogel with the disc. We know he likes to jack it. But instead just sends it to Zubir. And this seems better from France, more confident. Playing their way into the game, and that's a beautiful inside. Excellent setup by Simon.
It's the most difficult throw in the game, isn't it? That IO flick. It's really difficult to judge it, and there's two beautiful ones from France in that point. It's a catch from Tessier in the end. And a really good point once they got that disc back. You can, as you say, they look a lot more confident now.
Put that kind of touch on it. Like when people say it's the hardest throw, it's very easy to lash them. And that makes it one of the hardest throws to catch. So you have to put touch on it. It's an unnatural way for the disc to really come out with a flick, but so delicate a snap. Oxymoronic as it seems.
It's poetic, Lorcan, poetic. And there's two wonderful versions of that poetry in motion at that point. Got to be perfectly timed as well, and both those throws are right out in front of the receiver. Only the receiver is going to catch it. Really nice offense from France.
So 4-1, and looking a lot more like the French side we, I suppose, hoped, if not expected, to see earlier in the tournament. But that's kind of the way things work in Swiss draw. You still got to hope, certainly if you're a French fan, that they can make it into the top 8. Battle their way back. A big win here will go a long way towards that, so they're going to be going hard permanently. I don't know how Axel Roger is out there in trousers. As here come Czech, playing against the French match defense. Trying to put them under a lot of pressure. Moving quickly, a bit more confidence. You like to see it, but you wonder how sustainable it is. This is much better from the Czechs, flowing down the pitch. The French lockdown handler defense from the last few points dissipating right now against this Czech pressure as they continue to jab and poke. Smooth play all the way around, right in front of the end zone. Doesn't take the obvious trap. Halamka goes with a scuba all the way back. This is nice stuff out of the Czechs. And they look for the break, and a beautiful score. I think every player on that line touched the disc. Excellent response.
Very smooth, very smooth. You said at the previous point at the beginning of this one, they were struggling with the handler movement. I don't know whether France tried something like a forced middle there when the Czechs got halfway up the pitch. There was a lot of call to change something, but cut from the stack, just beats his man to the open side. And it's a nice point in the end. Very, very good flowing offense from the Czechs. They'll look to replicate that for the rest of the game.
So the French pressure, which they exerted over the last few points, the Czechs found a way to play through it. No easy feat, but that's made it 4-2. Now they need to go out there and get a few more breaks. They already got one, so we know they're capable. But how many more do they have in them? The French O-line was looked better on the second point, the second time of asking, but has taken a bit of a break in the sun.
Be interesting to see what we see from either team here. Both teams they've given the disc away a couple of times. Whether we see some different looks, some force middle, force out, whether we see a zone. There's not too much wind really, so a zone is going to have to be, you're going to have to be willing to come out of it very quickly. But the Czechs particularly need to change things up a little if they're offensively to get back into this game.
Personally, I'd like to see a deep shot to Sento. Big man going down there, beard blowing in the breeze. I like it.
Any kind of deep shot? We looking thumber, we looking scuba?
Oh, wow. I mean, if I got to be that specific, always a thumber. The thumber is the gentleman's throw. I personally consider anyway. As here come France. Guyen. Gets it across to Sento. Back in the middle, and they are just taking strides down this pitch. An obvious foul call jumping through the mark and the player's space. But France already passed the halfway line in what seemed like 2 throws from the pole.
Yeah, they're eating up the yards really easily here.
And with great form. Isolating a cutter, allowing you to take that kind of a lackadaisical pass. Sento's trying to grind up dirt down there. Beckel thinks about the scuba instead, takes the easy open side, provided by Fenric. Fenric waiting for somebody to get free for him. He has Becker, he floats it out in front of him. Becker jumps it in for the score. Consummate.
Really was. I don't know whether we've seen that side stack from France in the previous points, but god damn, that went really well. That was really good.
The thing I was most impressed with was their form. As they were going down there, consistently clearing space in a deliberate and determined manner. So they always seemed to know what they were doing as a collective, which is probably an accusation you could really poison them, especially earlier today. At times, certain players knew what they were doing, but they didn't know as a unit.
Yeah, it was on a string, wasn't it? Someone's coming under and another person's going deep to fill that gap in. So as soon as that person catches the disc, they've got an option straight away. Even this throw is a tough, tough throw to pull off.
Brilliantly done. So Becker just takes off. And Fenric floats it around the outside, allowing him to use his body and just put it in between him and the defender for the score. So Becker, as I think we could have expected given his prominence in Shack, turning out to be very influential for this French side.
So it's on the Czechs now. Can they respond in kind? Can they clean up their offense like France just did and go down, slot it in, and try and put pressure back on the French because they are down in this game?
Well, here come Czech. Hopefully emboldened by their last possession. Although the French mix it up with a zone. I like that look, coming out a bit unexpected. Czechs take a minute, recognize what's going on, adjust. We'll see how quickly they can, how astutely they can react. This is good work by the Czechs, moving the zone around, swinging it. They have a space through the middle and they take it. It's nice, relaxed, not too stressful. Sladek looks to go back into the middle instead. That's a lovely inside break. Yakim down the line, and this is better by the Czechs. The kind of offense they want to be playing. Sladek, front of the end zone, screaming, looking for somebody, please. Eventually he gets some relief, and there's a hammer, another hammer for the Czechs. They've scored 3 points. 2 of them have been like that.
I think that one was the culmination of a really impressive point. They recognized the French zone, they moved it around, waited for France to match up, and just carried on executing really well. France didn't slow them down really at all there. And that hammer straight to a cutting receiver, looking great.
Good patience, sizes it up. That's a lovely run and catch.
Interesting release, very flicky.
Yeah, and it didn't come out like there was a lot of blade on it, which is a bit unusual. Fensel, the one able to pick up the score. That was Prushak with the assist.
Hey, they all count, even if they do look a little strange.
I have a similar policy with other aspects of my life.
Big point here for the Czechs. They really need to start exerting pressure on the French. It is still early in the game, obviously. We're only at 4-3, lots of time to go. But the Czechs, as we've said, had a similar record to France so far. Mixed results. They've struggled to come back into games against some other national teams. If they want to come up in this Swiss draw and continue playing meaningful games tomorrow, they've got to start asking questions of the offense as early as possible.
Rogier playing both sides of the disc. As France hoping to extend that lead. The deep shot's on. They decide against it. Taking their time, being relaxed. Lemel. He has Rogier juking and jiving for him. He also has the much more sizable form of Duplay. Duplay spreads that one wide and unfortunately drops out of the hands of Le Pommelet. Manioc and Czech with the chance to tie this up. And this would be a big moment for them. They went 1-0 up. They then went 4-0, 4-1 down. So, a real game of runs right now. And at the end of that one is Jan Wawrusa getting the score, 4-4.
That is exactly the kind of point you don't want if you're France. Unforced drop, and then the Czech Republic with good flow around the back. Get it to the far side, and that lefty hook to the receiver, punishing the mistake. You can see the downfield defender just out of position completely, has no chance to affect that catch. It's an interesting game, as you say, Lorcan, game of runs. Interesting to see 4 points for one team and then 3 straight back from the other.
Tying it up. And at this point, I suppose it would be difficult to say if, would you have a favorite based off their 2 respective runs?
Not really. I think particularly given that the last point there from France is an unforced error, you can't necessarily keep counting on unforced errors. If the Czechs were getting block after block after block, that's one thing. But so far, the French offense, you know, they've been pretty good. First point they were a little jammed up, and that point an error, but hopefully they'll be able to take them out of their game, and they'll be able to continue in the vein they were in on that 4-point run.
Well, let's see what they do now. Stuck way back in his own end zone, Guyen. And they're trying to work something out between him and Becker, and there's a hand block. A big, old, manly hand block. And then the gentlemanly celebration, just a quick shake of the fist. I like that.
Yep, calm, collected. I was going to say, the French stack there was so far away. I know they're trying to isolate a cutter in the lane, but when you get a pull that far back, that deep in your own end zone, you've got to come back under because you're leaving yourself some really difficult throws.
So Barsonic just about able to get it down the line. And Proc spreads it back around. Barsonic, Proc, back to Barsonic. It's just the 2-man show! And we just got to take it.
Well, 4-4 run there. 4-point run from France, 4-point run from the Czech Republic. They have taken the initiative back in pretty surprising style.
I'm not going to lie to you, Sean. I thought there was a genuine danger that France would just turn on the thrusters and pull away in this game.
It certainly looked that way, didn't it?
Seems like they got stuck with a Czech engine light.
Oh, I've got to be honest, I didn't see that coming. I was like, where's he going with this? That's where you went with it. I'm very impressed.
As well. And like, let's be fair here. You're probably the hardest person to surprise with wordplay out of all of the people who I co-commentate with.
I'm very impressed. That was a good one.
Well, thank you.
But seriously, though, you're right. I thought France were about to take off. First point, Czech Republic came out all fired up, take it on D. Then France get their wits about them, pull themselves together. 4 points in a row. We're about to see a game that's going to run away from us, and the Czechs are going to struggle to get back into it. Absolutely not. They are firing now, and they are really back in this game.
So they have shown up. Right now they are showing off. And you got to know that just feeds the Czechs. They would love to take this scalp, and Bad Vogel winds one out, but decides against it in the end. Abita. Plenty of float, plenty of space. And the French again showing us that wonderful use of spacing from their side stack position, though it seems the Czechs starting to wise up to it ever so slightly. Scala thinks about sending the arcing pass, doesn't. Takes the easier under. Cortil back to Scala. And now France try to order themselves in the end zone. Scala goes for the quick pop. Right there knocking on the door. Zubir sends it back. Cortil. And they continue to move for him. That was a risky break, but it was beautiful to Zubir. Cortil gets it back. A scintillating backhand the last time, and a second for good measure. 5-5.
Two really, really good inside backhands there from the French player. I think one thing that we're noticing from both teams is that they're having two players cutting into the same space quite a bit. There happened a couple of times for France in that point, happened a couple of times for the Czech Republic in the last point. Both teams are struggling a little bit with their offensive structure, particularly the further along in the stall count they get. It seems like players are getting a bit nervous, trying to offer their teammates options, but when you've got a player who can throw inside backhands like Putil can, sometimes that doesn't matter.
I mean, it's pretty easy to be found by Nemo Cortil.
I'm not sure about that one.
His name is Nemo Cortil.
But still,
yeah, it's a bit shaky.
Yeah,
bit shaky.
Going to that one. I prefer to check engine light. Let's go back to that.
All right, let's go
I
back.
believe you. You'll get form back, don't worry.
You know, the thing is, I'm a volume shooter.
Just keep going.
As anybody who's ever had my voice inflicted on them before knows, they're not all classics. In fact, I would go as far as to say as most of them aren't.
Shooter's got to shoot, mate.
Shooter's got to shoot, baby. Fred Van Vliet. The Toronto Raptors, just a huge shout out. Slaying the monster, Kawhi Leonard. Leading them. Brilliant stuff. So now the Czechs hope to also play spoiler against the French this time. Although they are back in their own end zone and make a critical error. Unfortunately, Fensel was trying to get it to Slatek. And now France with Roger right on the end zone. He doesn't do anything. He just looks to Duplay immediately before looking away from him briefly. I'm going to say I don't love that decision in front of the end zone.
He means business, though. He's taken those tracksuit bottoms off. He is fully in this game now.
Excellent. Thing on notice. Oh, and they just about get away with that one. So right in front of the end zone, Duplay was always who Roger wanted to throw it to. And back, big loud D. You can see they're trying to get it back. Slatek has some heat, but Roger. There was a stall out called. Well, there you go. Fantastic defensive effort across the board by the Czechs in the end zone. Fensel thinks about sending it deep, decides against it, but maybe waits too long. Doesn't really have a whole lot of options left. Eventually gets one. Now they're searching. Fensel rolling that one out wide. Yakum sends it down. Sladek. He has the deep capabilities, doesn't take him on too often. This is another instance of that. Yakum gets it to Fensel. They got a big man going deep. They decide against it. He was closely marked the whole way. I wouldn't mind seeing those two hosses go up, but instead that's a big shot. Unfortunately, though, as it went up, Jan Verusa had already bailed on the play, leaving Lemerle to just chase it down and bat it.
Yeah, Verusa definitely stopped, and it's unfortunate because he definitely had a step as he turns to come under. But a really, really good read there, and you think he maybe could have carried on going there, but good D from Lemera.
Yeah, I think after he hit it, Verusa could have maybe chased it down a little bit more, but that's a hard thing to predict. Like, you see, Lemerle was always closer to it, and that kind of just naturally gives you a little incentive to give up on the play.
I mean, France here, back on offense, considering they had such a short field last time around. Hopefully they can execute it better here.
Well, they get the first pass off, and that's often the most important. Lemerle sends that slightly further down the line. Berdal. And there's so much contact. Lemerle absolutely going to war with Vavrusa right now. Beating each other up. I like to see that. I like a bit of argy-bargy, pudding and pie, you know?
Yeah, I think if both players are comfortable with it.
Yeah, I suppose that's it. And when they are, that's my favorite kind of ultimate torch. Kind of like when Ireland were playing GB earlier, and there was some muscling.
Yeah, there's some bumping.
There was some bumping and grinding. Feel less appropriate using that line anymore since R. Kelly got revealed. So much good music I can no longer listen to. Why are so many geniuses sexual deviants?
Question beyond my capabilities of answering, I'm afraid there, Lockham.
Oh, a rare beast. As now we see the Czech. Fensel. Gets it to Sladek. And Sladek has been instrumental in this game so far. It's a good undercut. Eventually they are able to get it to Svatosh. But the chance kind of evaporated for big yards. France starting to really turn up the heat clamp down on the Czechs. Gets it back to Fensel, but they're having to work very hard to get basic dump cuts off. They're happy to put the work in for now, but can they maintain it? Svatos, that's a beautiful break and a bit of ambition right when it was needed. Dostal sends it down. Huge bid, but nothing there for it. Vavrusha sends it to the sideline. And a big shot all the way down the pitch. Underneath it, Joachim.
Really good recognition there. You can see he gets a few yards of separation, and the French player is just face marking him the whole time. He's 3 or 4 yards underneath. And once they get the throw out there, again, it rolls over to the break side. Nice, easy catch in the end. Czechs are doing a very good job of getting it over onto this break side. But when they get over here, the French are doing a really good job of getting all the way over, blocking off that continuation and getting a straight up mark on this sideline, making it really difficult to get a continuation. Dump marks are doing a great job. Really good throw there.
We've seen a couple of those fantastic throws just removing the defense from contention.
France getting close though.
Caught it under so much pressure. Vavrusha gives it to the sideline. And Svatos just uncorks. That tasty one. Was well taken in by Joachim. Jaromir Joachim and the Czechs showing they belong up there with the best of Europe. Throwing some digs right now.
Do you think that we're looking at a game where France really offensively, when they're connecting, they're going through pretty easily. They're making their own mistakes. The Czechs are really struggling. The French are slowing them down. Do you think the French are getting closer to blocks to get than the Czechs are?
I do. Like the Czechs, the things they've scored, they've had to really pull it out for it. But that run kind of solidified it for me, and I suppose we'll see how this one goes down. Big shot to the end zone and a bigger grab. You got to take it. You got to take it when it comes. Absolutely phenomenal play by the French.
Who needs swinging, eh? When you can do things like that. That is an absolutely money throw, and he has gone up to get that, plucked it out of the air under some pretty intense pressure. Great, great throw. You can see he's walking it up to the brick mark here. Pretty, looks for all the world like he's not really too bothered, and then uncorks that straight to the end zone. High points it, comes down, and shows this to his teammates. Great play from France.
Absolutely fantastic. I believe that was Guyon Teboguen Deman, more affectionately known as Begdem. But he got huge. And the point I would say is neither of those, in the past, you would have considered as major French names. But the kind of confidence to just have those players come out there and do that for you. And Guyon has actually played really well, I think, and seems to have taken on a real central role for this French offense, which is fantastic to see. So 7-6 the score. That was France scoring 2 go ahead. Reading a 6-5 just a moment ago. We apologize. So, half an hour left, but still on serve. France, remember, started on offense and the Czechs broke them. Plenty of breaks in this game. Plenty of shifts of momentum. So very excited to see how it plays out. Hoping for some more stellar action here at the final game of Windmill's Friday, the first day. And we've had a fantastic day. Started off in the rain, ending in the sunshine. As here come the Czechs. Hoping to use that vitamin D. Pick up some scores.
It's the kind of thing that you don't get really in the west of Ireland, eh, Lorcan?
I'm not entirely sure what that thing is in the sky. I just know it's making me happier than I've ever been before. Huge shot, massive D, but he could have just played it into the defense's hands. Gets the back Mac line on purpose, and you gotta like that timeout call by Vavrusha. Timeout calls often something that are really meticulously pored over, but as I could tell from you turning to me and immediately motioning T once he caught that, that's the exact time when you want to make one.
Yeah, usually it's difficult to tell sometimes from a huck like that whether a timeout is a good call. I think given that it looked as though everybody stopped because the France player had position, it looked for all the world like a block. I think it's probably a good call. But we have seen a number of those already in this tournament, Lorcan. Those knock it on, mack it on. We saw one, I think, in a stream game earlier where Denmark Denmark against a Colombian team, and the Colombian team macked it on universe
Coyotes.
point. Yeah, they macked it on universe point for the goal.
Oh no.
So it could be worse, but that's the kind of thing that you have
That's
nightmares
just
about as a defender.
heartbreaking, yeah.
It really is.
I was once the guy who macked it to lose on universe point.
How did it make you feel?
Still think about it today.
Oh,
Thought about
yeah.
it last night, made me feel bad.
Well.
And that was 8 years ago.
Well, I'm sure that's exactly what the French player wants to be hearing at this point.
Well, I'd just like to say this to everybody. Know that you never really heal from your deepest mistakes. You learn from them, but you always carry those scars.
They're always there.
They are always there. As much as we try to bury them deep with alcohol and other such proclivities available to you here in Amsterdam, such as beautiful sunshine, wonderful people, and even better ultimate at the Cirque de Freak Chic Windmill 2019. 15-year anniversary, and Herbie, he's having a good time. He's almost old enough to drink here in the Netherlands.
What is the age here in the Netherlands? It strikes me as the kind of liberal country where it's probably about 12.
It's probably about 12, but nobody does it until they're like 30.
Yeah, true.
I always found that the younger the age is to drink, the less people drink.
It's not a taboo, is it?
I think it's just 'cause it doesn't rain all the time. You know, you're not stuck indoors.
It's that the west of Ireland. It's all there is to do.
You say this is a man from Birmingham. You drink a lot there as well, as we see the Czechs on the end zone line, looking, pleading, begging, playing. Fensel eventually winds up with the disc. Somehow, fantastic shoulder shaking go. It's the Czechs on the doorstep. Knocking on heaven's door. Getting a divine intervention there. That was good defense from France for the most part, but eventually the Czechs able to score.
Yeah, very good. And I think, to be honest, the Czechs at one point kind of defended themselves. There was definitely someone open on the break side, and someone cut straight in front of them, cuts them off. They got fortunate, really, that someone was able to work themselves some space on the open side.
So we see here that lovely shot from Zvatos. But I understand exactly what you mean. There was a period where I really thought Vavrusha was going to wind up turning it over because nobody was able to really get free. Fensel mercifully was eventually able to unglue himself from his defender. But like in the end zone, when you're getting clogged like that, and when you're dealing with the high intensity, clamped down handler defense Czechs have been able to exert over the course of this game, it's a bad recipe.
It requires a lot of discipline from people that are not necessarily involved in the play to not try and involve themselves in the play, because as soon as you try and involve yourself in the play, you bring a defender with you, you muck everything up, and it makes it very, very difficult to, as a handler, to spot where the space is.
So, 7-7. Galaxy point.
Okay.
Trying to go in at half. We are 42 minutes into the game, so another 28 left to play.
Looks like Mbaye Vogel out on offense for France.
France have been rotating players through their O and D lines, not so dedicated. We saw the likes of GB, the likes of Ireland play ironclad D and O lines.
Yeah, very rigid.
You wonder what the likes of Italy as well. We know that they like to keep it pretty rigid. Austria, maybe a bit more of this French kind of style. The Czechs, as far as I've been able to see, mostly keeping it straight O and D as well. As here we go. A big D from the Czechs coming across. That is Patrick Novak slapping it down. So now the Czech D-line looking to get something done, although the stall count's getting high. He's going to have to put something up. He goes for a blade to the back corner. And there was always a bit of panic. You hate to see it. You put in all that work, you get the D. Doesn't come off.
The Czechs went with a quick start there, and really they got one pass off, and as soon as they got one pass off, because it was a quick start, everyone filtering into the end zone, they didn't have any structure going. You're already on 5 before you know it, and then you're finding it very difficult to get any movement.
So the Czechs let a golden opportunity go begging. Good panic defense by the French. Mbaye Vogel. Still haven't really seen him uncork a large shot. Well, they're clearly just trying to isolate somebody against a side stack. Lots of float there. Had to be taken down authoritatively. Mbaye Vogel gets the disc back. Again, this is fantastic defense from the Czechs, pushing everything France wants to do under, back towards their own end zone. Lots of pressure. You want to isolate cutters, try to get them alone in space, that's fine, but we make sure they only gain 2 to 3 yards each time.
They're doing a great job downfield of putting their body between the open side, where the French want to go, and the French player. forcing them back over to that break side where the side stack is and making sure that that space is not really very useful. Very, very good D from the Czechs.
So there's just a little bit of contact down the pitch, causing a stoppage in play. We will be resuming momentarily. Coming in on 0. Uncontested foul. Simon waiting, and Vogel gives him an outlet. And I really want to see Vogel just launch one, but he hasn't yet. Which has made sense because they haven't really been on, but is also, you know, inherently disappointing. Cortil thinks about it, goes with the easier option instead. Or sorry, that's Cortil. It was Zubir. Spurting it out wide. Tessier. And Vogel right in front of him. On the O-line looking to secure half-time. Vogel. Back to Cortil. Cortil has been having himself quite the game. We know that inside break backhand. It's being called for. Slamming it down. I think just about everybody on the pitch knew that was coming.
Was that gentleman's celebration you were talking about earlier as well, Lorcan? Little fist pump.
Dominating.
Great
and
block.
There's the timeout.
Great block.
It's a great block. You could even see, I can't remember who it was, but the French player at the front of the stack just going, point, I know you have this throw. But you know who else was aware he had that throw? Vavrusha. And he took it away. Emphatic.
A large man with long limbs. Really tough to get that low breakout when they know it's coming. All it takes is a foot, as we saw there.
Future ultimate player, potentially.
Just desperate to get on the field.
Put me in the game, coach. Put me in the game. I'm ready. Y'all need leadership. You're looking sloppy out there. Clean it up.
Got to get fresh legs on.
Fresh, wobbly baby legs. Oh, no. Pulled off the pitch. Not quite ready yet. Doesn't have the experience. Will come with time.
One day, one day.
One day. Always find that strange when you see all the children around, like throwing. Like, Jesus Christ, you're already better than I ever was. And you're 10.
I was playing against a team at Nottingham Wind Farm a couple of weeks ago, and they had what must have been someone's son. Must have been 11, maybe 10, 11. Absolutely couldn't throw it very far. Absolutely picture perfect form on all those throws. They were beautiful. And they're joining in the drills, didn't play in the game, but joining in the drills got a really good layout catch. Looking at it thinking, good God, if I'd started only, what, eight or 9 years earlier, would I have been that good? Possibly not, but you know.
No, I think it's fairly certain that you would have been.
Thanks. Your faith in me means a lot, Lucan.
Oh, Stetka, not Vavrusha, saying who got the foot block there. We're very sorry. So that would mean that, yeah, I don't know Stetka's name, so I must, Jan Vavrusha, it must be Stetka. Yeah. I apologize. Shout out to Deus Grim, one of the, first off, nicest men, but also most badass names I've ever heard in my life. His surname is Grim, and it's spelled like G-R-Y-M. It's just awesome. And now the Czechs, looking to make it a grim day for France. Battling around. Not a whole lot coming on, instead forced to go for a big chuck. There's a big man under it, and he collects! Now looking right on the end of the end zone line, goes for the easy pop pass, and that's what you talk about. Fancy!
That was really, really good. From the man whose name we have wrong on the sheet. That was an incredibly good catch. He's come in late. It looks for all the world like the two guys underneath it are going to be battling it out, and he's done the old Bo Kittredge, come from outside the pile, read it late, and destroy everybody in the air. And the Czechs have finished that half exactly as they started it, with a break of the French offense. Look at that catch. My Lord, that is big. And then, just for good measure, great throw around the mark for the score in the front corner.
Absolutely fantastic stuff by Stetka. Showing up for everybody back home. And right now, if you're the Czech team, hell, I'm not even a part of the Czech community, and I'm feeling very good about this game. This has been a fantastic one. I thought we might be in a wee bit of a danger of a blowout when they went 4-1 down, but showing a lot of heart, a lot of grit. And then you saw France come within inches of going 7-5 up. But now, Czechs are like, how about no?
How about none? It's been a really good game. Two very well-matched teams. I think the difference so far has been that the French are able to shut down the Czech offense a bit more effectively, but the Czechs have had a couple of bailout options, some hammers, some long discs they've come down with, and they're just going out and putting everything on the line and coming down with them. It's been very, very impressive from the Czechs, their ability to just go for difficult, dangerous options and pull them out.
I mean, balls to the walls. And right now it is working out for them. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like right now they're just putting it out there. They're just throwing it all out there, and a lot of it's sticking. That was some kind of grab by Stettke.
It's fantastic. It's the kind of game, I suppose, for them, given where they are with the Swiss draw. You don't want to go into tomorrow feeling like you had more to give, feeling like you could have done something yesterday and put you in a better position. So they're just putting everything on the line, not leaving anything on the field, and fair play to them because it's working so far.
Neither team can afford to relax. They both need to keep pushing it. As here come Czech. Centering it. It's taken in Prusak. Prusak has it back to Fensel. Left a little bit alone, looking for options. Eventually he gets it in the form of Svatoš, who then lashes it deep. Slatek's underneath it. He's been brilliant so far. Can he continue? Yes, he can! Boom!
That is another absolutely ridiculous catch. He looks like he slows down to try and box his defender. The defender then overtakes him. Doesn't matter. Goes over the top of him. I'll have that, thank you.
I think he slowed down to let his defender have position so he could then seem more impressive.
Here you go.
In comparison.
Do you want to try? You want to try?
No. I'm so confident. I'd
that.
like this to be even worse for you.
That is a really good catch. My lord. Fensel has been crucial in this game. He's been putting everyone in good positions. He's been helping people get in power positions. And look at that hook. Reached over the top, plucked it away, almost with ease. That is an incredibly difficult thing to do, and it looks like it's not a care in the world as he snatches it away.
Effortless. And so the Czechs enjoy their largest lead of the game.
If they keep playing like this, if they keep doing things like they've done the last 2 points, I hope they keep going. This is fantastic.
This is absolutely fantastic. Everybody back home screaming for their boys in red and blue right now. Having a fantastic time.
The French are doing a pretty good job. They are missing some of their best players. Some of Czech's best players have gone over to Montreal to play in the AUDL. Would obviously be making a difference, but you have to play with what you've got, and they've got some very good players.
I mean, the French are so proud of their junior system. Now, it's real impressive steps forward. Haven't quite come to fruition on the senior stage, but the next 5 years, very interesting to watch for French Ultimate, as that's a beautiful pass down the line to Becquerel. He sends it across. Oh, forgive me. It's Becquerel to Becquerel, as far as I can tell. They'll both be called Becquerel until the end of this game, though, as they go in for the score. Thought it was illegal to throw to yourself, but the French just showing the same amount of affinity for that rule as they do for fidelity in marriage.
Oh, God. Well, I'll leave that and go on to the up-the-line cut there. The cut was beautiful. The throw was even better. Led the receiver into 20, 30 yards of space. Opened up the field. 2 passes later, nice easy goal. They needed that.
They very much did. The Czechs were in danger of stamping down on this game. We have another look. Delicate. Beautiful lefty backhand.
Nice footwork from the receiver as well, making sure you're in, having a look. It's easy to just land and realize you're landing on the line or just outside. You've got to have another pass. But Czechs in midair, leans himself. Now they've got a chance to go out and try and get this lead back.
So still some distance to go, but still some time to do it in. 15 more minutes left here at the first day of Windmill 2019. Cirque du Freak Chic. A lot of people around the campsite very excited to show off their outfits tomorrow night. And right now, these 2 outfits trying to show off for us on the stream. Nasser and Bay Vogel. titan of the European ultimate scene for effectively a decade at this point. A trademark huge pull, sinking deeper and deeper. And there's Jiří Svatoš with the disc in his own end zone, looking for options, looking for anything. The French going with a little bit of a poachy zone. He punishes them well. It was a difficult throw and a hard catch. Pruszak. He's got Svatoš all the way across and gets there. These are some sketchy passes. That's another one, but plenty of space. So now we've got Joachim playing a little bit of give and go with Svatoš. Now sends it back into the middle of the pitch. This is much better, much more urgency, but a bit more control as well. Pruszak gets defensive. And the Czechs have really grown into this game. And a man who I thought would be much more important, Dostal. He was critical in the early exchanges, but since, haven't seen too much from him. As the French continuously put some of their biggest and best defenders on them. Svatoš. Hoping to get it to Sladek, can't. And pick call. But I like that Czech offense. It seemed like they were taking everything the French defense could muster, and we're just calmly working it down the pitch. Nothing easy, but nothing impossible either. Well, to be honest, I'd rather they just hucked it to Dostal with Vogel on him right at the start of the point. You can't get everything you want in this life, Sean.
You cannot, but hopefully the Czechs are going to get what, or the Czechs are hoping to get what they want here.
Another score, and to extend their lead. Goes with a quick pop to Dostal! Oh, and that was pretty. Maybe not the most well-advised play, but damn if I didn't like it.
Yeah, when you can get that pop over the top, quick give-go. Surprisingly efficient for the Czechs there, considering the French pull and the pull chase has been brilliant the last 3 or 4 points, and they will absolutely pin them in their own end zone. 2, 3, roughly sketchy passes, would you say, Lorcan?
Well, the way I would describe it is, it's kind of like having sex with your ex. It's not a good idea, but my God, it's a lot of fun.
There we are, and then probably how you describe the end zone pass as well. But in the middle section between the sketchy and each end zone, very clinical from the Czechs. Very
clinical, which is kind of what you want. You want it sketchy in each end zone, and then in the middle, just take your time, working it down the pitch. The hammer was actually perfect and the correct throw at the time. It was more the cross end zone swings, especially the swing that I believe it was Svatoš threw it all the way across to Pruszak. Pruszak had to toe the line on his own corner. But he did so and was able to take it down. So 10-8 the Czech Republic. And this would be a real blow to French morale if they were to lose this one. Or do you think they kind of consider themselves punting this season a little bit, trying to blood some of the younger elements, given that so many people are playing with the Royals?
I think given when you're a national team, when you're playing at the level that the French expect to play at, and as they should expect to play at, because they're a nation with really good ultimate pedigree and history behind them, I don't think you can really...
fantastic future.
This is
it's just their present.
I think you really punt any season. I'm sure if you ask the players on that team, they'll be looking to make quarters of Euros, and then who knows what can happen.
So Zubir sends it down the line. Matteo. He's got a couple of options, but none of them particularly strike his fancy. So Matteo still with the disc in hand. We're approaching the final 10 minutes of the day. And in keeping with the trend, there will be no quarter, no reprieve. Time goes and you finish the point. So let's see what France can do. Roger trying to be a bit of an axle for this team and get them back in the driver's seat. Instead they spread it wide. Duplay, a cheeky inside break, but it bounces off the hands of Matteo. Not something you're used to seeing if you're a fan of Manuel. And a huge huck straight away, all the way down the pitch, plenty of float. Comfortably collected in stride, Jakub Pivek. Looking, feeding, finding! 11-8.
That is a great huck from the Czechs, that quick start and go. Recognizing that the receiver had a lot of space. I thought he was going to have to lay out for that, but he has turned on the jets to reel that one in.
It did look like it might be just a little bit too far away from Jakub Pivek.
Yeah, but Pivek has reeled it in, turned down that first option with 2 French defenders in the way. I mean, even the second option he's thrown, we'll see on the replay. French defender's pretty close to it, but great chase down there. Good patience, and hey, Czech's in a great position here.
Huge bid, but a bit too late. And a step too far behind with 10 minutes left. The Czechs snapping off another impressive run here late in the game. 11-8 now. So they've really shown that they can hang, and it just seems like they want it that little bit more. And the talent level comparable.
Yeah, talent level's really comparable. There's not a great deal of difference, you would say, between these two teams. I mean, the Czechs, 4-1 down. Since then, 10-4. That's a pretty comprehensive run. You can't really argue with that. You can't say that they've got lucky or that France are handing it to them. 10-4, you've got to go get that off a team as good as, this French team is.
Are prying it from what is currently still their relatively warm and life-filled hands. But they're looking to kill them off as here comes France. Big Dim sends this beautifully down the middle to Becquer. Oh, sorry, that's Becquer, the left-handed one. Sento, a lot of float, a lot of time. Fenric doesn't mind, takes it down. Even with the imposing form of Sladek gaining on him from behind.
Good spirit there. I think Sladek was never in position. He's definitely a bit of contact as they've gone up, but the French needed a clean, easy hold to get back into this game so they can get their D-line out and try and disrupt the Czechs, and that is exactly what they got.
So, at this critical juncture in the game, we'd like to give a shout out to Hilary Holmes, who coming into this said, I think you might be underestimating this Czech side. We have another look here. 77-2, 77 Becquer. And then Sento, bit of float on the end of it. But Fenrich gets underneath. Oh,
it's a good catch.
It's a very good catch, and he's got that cool little knee bend, but you stay standing afterwards.
Yeah.
Always makes you look a bit more like a badass.
It does, it does. Little bit of uncertainty maybe. Oh, no, I've got it, don't worry about that.
It's like a modern dance move. Bringing back the chubby checker twist. Do you think there's a twist in store for us at the end of this game?
It's difficult to see a twist coming, if I'm honest, Lorcan. The way that the Czechs have played.
Really?
The way the Czechs have played purely in terms of grit. They have been fighting for every inch, every foot, and at the moment the French are struggling to match that. If the French can dial up their intensity, then anything can happen. We've seen the France go on a 4-point run already in this game. But the way the Czechs are playing at the moment, it's going to be difficult for them to take this back off them.
You know what? You're absolutely right. Because in this, I was thinking the French could always come back. They just seem to me to have the slightly better disc skills. As Fensel immediately launches one. Dostal's down there. Gets taken out a little bit. I do think he jumped too early anyway. But that's a foul. Got cleaned out while in the air. No chance for the second bid. And that's what you're talking about. Like the Czechs, they're not looking to pass the disc around or waste any time. They're coming out there, guns blazing. He took his legs right from under him. That has to be a foul.
Yeah, he did. And I think he possibly did jump too early. But at the end of the day, he's taken away the chance for him to even try and hang there. I said earlier, Fensel has been instrumental for the Czechs. Has been instrumental in keeping the disc movement. He's not got many stats in this game. He's not done many of the assists, many of the crucial plays that have led to scores, but he has done a lot of the get it in the middle, swing it, reset it, make yourself open for the dump. He's played such an important role for the Czechs. He's done a very, very good job here. And
I have to say I've been particularly impressed because I counted him out. He was one of the people that we saw consistently locked up during that 4-point run by France. And I thought, I don't know if Fensel can hang out there with this level of defense. I feel like he's not getting free. But what he started doing was clearing a little deeper, putting a little more grit into his cuts. And it really showed. Like at the start, he was trying to just do what would get him free in the Czech Republic. Now he's doing what will get him free at the European Championships. And he has been fantastic, basically since they went on that 3-point run.
He has been giving himself loads of space and been making, and I suppose this is crucial for the Czechs, given that they have players, as we've seen, that are going to take those big shots, making good, solid decisions.
And there's another one there, gets it back. Acting as that axis, there's a big flick break. This one connects with Dostal. He wants the deep shot. He gives the nod, but then he's just trying to fake out his man. And you see the Czechs. They're starting to wind up for it just a little bit, but deciding against it each time. Pruszek sending it down the line, waiting for it. Joachim. And back into the middle. Svatoš. Yeah, or Pruszek, sorry, back to Svatoš. Pruszek. Sorry, they're moving the disc so fast, I am mixing up my names. But I think that's a credit to the Czechs. I mean, like we were saying earlier in the game, they really struggled. It seemed to be getting a 4 or 5 on every person. There's definite movement. They're either gaining yards or they're disrupting the defensive positioning. Pruszek able to get it back. Joachim has a few options, takes the under fence, and that's what I'm talking about. He's clearing with such space, but also purpose, and coming back under for big gains that are effectively just dump cuts, but his team needs them. Now he's forced to absolutely jack it. Plenty of floating by. Vogel's trying to close the gap, but Joachim seems to have all day, baby. What a chase down. What a score.
I apologize to Fensel. I said, what, 30 seconds ago, he's not done many big impact plays, not got many assists. That is a very big impact assist. An absolutely money backhand huck into the back corner. And by Vogel, one of the better defenders on this French team. Not a prayer at that one.
Maybe getting a little bit too cocky, thinking, oh. I mean, in fairness, Joachim was ludicrously deep. And Vogel can be forgiven for thinking, oh, they're going to give that back. And if they do put it up, it's hardly going to be so perfect that it only becomes catchable in the back corner of the end zone. Like, that is not an easy throw by any measure of the skill.
This is it. You can take away some things as a defender, but you can't take away absolutely everything. And one of the things you can't take away is if the thrower puts it on a dime in the back corner. It's not a great deal you're going to be able to do about that.
Do you consider that examples? Do you think that's sustainable? Because we've seen Czech Republic make so many of those plays, but convert like 80 to 90% of them. Do you think that's sustainable?
Over the course of a game? Yeah, sure. You can have a hot game. Over the course of a tournament, absolutely not. If this is the way they're trying to run their offense for Euros, it ain't going to work. But you can have a game like this where you catch fire and you upset someone, definitely.
This is the difference between the kind of game that wins you a quarterfinal and the kind of game that qualifies you for one.
Exactly, exactly.
So now here we see France pushing forward themselves. Popping it down the line. This is good, controlled movement from them. Again, they're sticking with that side stack, and it is working out fairly well for them. That's Beckel involving himself down in the play. I'm not sure who the other one is. Lovely footwork. And France showing off how easy they can score. They've had about 6, 7 points that have looked that easy.
Confounding team, aren't they? There's been points where Rico has run through, controlled the point, dominated the Czechs, dominated his matchup, and they've scored in 5, 6 passes. And then there's been points where no one's getting free, they're really struggling, they're getting high stall counts. Very strange dichotomy between how they look on one point to the next, this French team.
Whereas I would consider the Czechs, apart from every now and again just pulling off a great play, so we don't have the experience of seeing them fail like 50% of those plays like you do normally, they do seem to have grown into the game. They've just gotten more and more confident, shown that resolve, shown that grit, and shown that they deserve to be 12-10 up right now as we have another look. It was brilliant footwork. It was brilliant footwork. But we know France can be great. Well, the question mark seems to be, can they be consistently great?
Yeah, it's maintaining that level. And one of the things as we were saying against GB and Ireland on the sideline, was both teams maintaining that kind of outstanding, intense level throughout the entire game. And that's the kind of thing that if this France team, whether they're down players who they would usually have or not, if this France team wants to compete at any kind of good level at the European Championships, you've got to maintain that level. And at the moment, it looks like they're struggling to maintain it at points against the Czech team that they're a dog in this fight. You know, they're still coming out swinging every time they got the disc.
Offensive. And it seemed like, and it's the same on both offensive and defensive terms, this French team. At times we've seen them clamp down with authority, and other times we've seen them just give stuff up. And then again, Fensel going back to the well. He's got Sladek. France defender gets completely lost under it. Lemel will probably want that one back. Dostal. Got it all the way down there. Svatoš looking for options. Sladek gives him one. He doesn't want the easy. Goes for the hard. And you can see Fensel frustrated. Why didn't you take a Sladek completely open? And those are the kind of mistakes that cost you group games. Now Sladek trying to put on a force. France coming in the opposite direction. Lemel and Vogel. Oh, he's got a streaking figure of Zubil, but decides against it. One wonders why. And now France, again, they're getting good deep looks, but they're not taking any of them. Hoping for the best, they go with that one. Third time's a charm, all the way to the bank. Vincent Abita, the student, becoming the master on that play.
That is the kind of point for the Czechs, considering their position in this game. You know, they're not home and hosed here. This is still a really tight game. On the end zone, got an open dump, turn down the open dump and try and go for that glory pass, and it turns over. And that's what can happen. The French have had 3 shots, 3 looks at a deep shot, and finally that third one they take it. They execute. Now it's a 1-point game.
So 1-point game. You can see on our clock it seems like the 70 minutes is gone. The music you hear coming over the speakers, that isn't the end of game music. That is the time is going to go shortly music. So the French definitely have a chance to at least close it to a 1-point gap, which could be critical. So turns out that was time is over, game is over. That makes much more sense. So 12-11, the game ends with somewhat of a whimper and not a bang. Some of the players not quite aware, although they seem to be disputing it.
Some discussion on the sideline here. Hopefully,
when the jingle is, I always hate this argument because Windmill plays like a minute-long jingle, but even Tom's, where they play like a 15-second one, it's always a debate. Is it the start of the jingle or is it the end of the jingle that chimes over?
So are we looking at a potential draw here?
Well, Vassar and Vogel certainly think so. So, Fensel, after all their hard work, the Czechs still need to earn this W. And that means the game is over. So I was right with my assumption, as were the French, looking to get a D and a draw. Dostal with the disc. Oh, it was low to the ground, but Martin Prach was even to it. And they're just skipping that one along. This is dangerous, sketchy play for Brunick. And now it's back into the middle. Prach. He has a few options. Eventually he resolves himself with Dostal. And back in the middle to Prach. So it's a lot of Prach and Dostal right now. Fensel doing what he does best, cutting from the stack as an undercut. But instead, forced to just throw it up. Dostal's underneath it. Not necessary. A huge grab. What a way to end the game. Epitomizing everything about this game. That is Lucas Barbarik. Sorry, this handwriting is difficult to read. Barbarik. But that's the game. Czech took shots and just came down with them.
I think after the third pass at that point, I had my hands on my head. The Czechs were flying by the seat of their pants at that point. There was some huge bids coming in from the French, some intense pressure. The Czechs were taking some pretty risky options. There was a couple there that looked like they were pretty close to being a D, not least that crazy hammer for a score.
Let's just have another look.
Hasn't got anything. That's the option I'm going with.
Martin Prach. I didn't know what he was thinking. I saw Dostal under it, and I thought, that's the man who's going to come down with that one. Turned out to not even be necessary. Beautiful grab. Excellent work. A hard-fought win for the Czechs, and you got to think that means a lot to this team and their aspirations of making quarterfinals and seeing what kind of damage they can do.
Yeah, it's definitely, considering 4-1 down, to come back and play the way they did and battle the way they did and end up with a 2-point win against a good French team that would have been favoured in this game. That is a huge result for the Czechs, and they really earned it. They really earned it.
They really, really earned it. But can they sustain it, I think, is the thing we take away from this message and the thing we take away from the end of the day. We would like to let you know that tomorrow morning, starting at 9 o'clock on Saturday, we have the games decided. It will be Rut versus Ireland on field 5 and Czech versus Rainbow on field 6. That is in the mixed division. Thank you for joining us here all day long on Friday at Windmill 2019 Cirque du Freak Chic. We hope you had as much fun as we did. And if not, well, trust us, it can only get better. I have been Lord Murray. It's been my pleasure to be joined by
John Colfer, thank you.
And we will see you tomorrow.